Well, hey, friends, and welcome back to the Creative Shop Talk podcast. Today, I have a special guest for us. I have invited one of my Level Up Mastermind members, Madeline from Colorful Cute, to come and have a chat with us and share some of her awesomeness. Lately, I shouldn't say lately, I guess in May, we had a mastermind retreat. We met up in Florida. It was so great to connect, and everybody just sitting around chatting. And I noticed at one point in time, after all our sessions, everybody was sitting by the pool, and Madeline was sharing such great strategy and tips and what was working for her in Instagram and marketing. And she has this really cool, fresh take on some of that for us. And I noticed everybody was taking notes. We're sitting by the pool and everybody's taking notes. They're drinking their pina coladas and taking notes. So I asked her if she would come on the podcast today, talk about her CEO journey, her journey to being the leader that she has become in her beautiful business. How she has gone from a hobby, it's really a hobby business that she started, into a full-time gig during COVID, I might add, during shutdown and COVID and all of that jazz, as we know, and her mindset around the ups and downs and all of the things that we all go through. And I know we all love hearing from other retailers. So it's my privilege and my pleasure actually to have Madeline in our mastermind group, our Level Up Mastermind group. And she's such a sharer, can I say sharer, and giver in the community, with the other members. And I love her to bits. And I'm just so happy she said yes when I asked her to join us here on the Creative Shop Talk podcast today. So if you'd like to join, I'm going to mention this right up front. If you'd like to join retailers like Madeline and some of the other really successful leadership-driven retailers inside our Level Up Mastermind group, we do have applications open for new members. So jump over to the wendybatten.com in our page, and we'll have it in the show notes, also on my page at wendybatten.com. You can apply and join us and join retailers like Madeline. And she's going to give some big takeaways and aha moments. I was really impressed. She's going to share a little bit about her business journey, and she's going to give us some actionable strategies that we can use with our Instagram. So get your notes ready, and maybe you're drinking a pina colada by the pool. I don't know, but I hope you enjoy the conversation I have here with Madeline from Colorful Cute in Miami. Let's get into it today. Running a retail business doesn't have to be so hard. Welcome to the Creative Shop Talk podcast, the go-to podcast for creative shop owners, studio owners, and independent retailers. I'm your host, Wendy Batten, retail business coach and mentor. Each week, I'll share simple, proven business strategies, inspiring stories from fellow retailers, and advice from industry experts. Together, we're going to work to find the success you want from your retail business, with more profits in your till and a little more joy in your life. Well, thank you, friends. And I am very excited today for you to meet Madeline. Madeline, hi. I'm so excited to have you here on the Creative Shop Talk podcast. Tell us a little bit about you, your business, what brought you here today.
Hi, Wendy. Thank you for having me. So my name is Madeline, and I own Colorful Cute. We are a Kawaii shop in Miami, Florida. And for the uninitiated, the Kawaii is Japanese for cute. So we specialize in really cute things with Japanese origins or Japanese influence. And I've been doing this as my little side hustle since 2017. So for 6 years, we had it online, and we did markets like local markets, and we did anime conventions and pop culture conventions. And then in 2020, when I lost my full-time job with the whole COVID craziness, we decided to try my dream, which was opening the brick and mortar store. So we found a location in a dying mall and took a chance, and here we are.
So I have a couple of things to share with everybody. First of all, I had no idea either, but I'm very initiated now in the Kawaii I love what you do. I think what you do is really amazing. But for those who may have missed that part, she opened in 2020 in a dead mall. We'll talk about that in a minute. In a very quiet location. Location would not be what I would say you have to your advantage. And at the beginning of a pandemic, but that's a whole other, we'll pull at that as well too. So tell us a little bit more though. You're in Miami, and how big is your shop? How big is the store?
So the shop is about 1,400 square feet, but only half of that is showroom. The other half is warehouse and storage, which is great for like where we are right now. And we have, like I said, we're a little store. We're in the mall, and that's what we kind of specialize in. We're a small little store. We have a good community, and yeah, that's what I've got.
How many staff do you have right now?
We are a total team of 5. So it's myself. I've got 3 girls that work in the shop, and I've got a VA/bookkeeper as well.
Right. So tell us, I'm, your background. Do you have any retail background? I know, like when I do these podcasts, this is what people always say to me. They're always like, I love hearing other people's origin stories. So you mentioned, and I mean, I know your story. We've been working together for some time now, but tell everybody. So did you have retail experience? What was your history? And, you mentioned you were doing markets, or you were doing events. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how you're growing, because this is a unique product for some people.
Yeah.
And also I'd love to hear like a little bit more of that background.
Sure. So most of my retail experience was when I was younger. I was working in high school for the now defunct Blockbuster Music.
Oh,
And yeah, taking it back. And I did a lot of work in retail for the first few years of my life. I worked in all kinds of stores and stuff like that. But that was pretty much it for retail experience. After that, it was just a career of like office kind of work. I did a lot of event work as well. So I was actually with an event producer for a while, and I got to do a lot of really fun events in Miami and New York, and that was really neat. And then when I did a lot of office management stuff, and I did event planning for a university, and then I did a research conference and group organization as well. That was the last job that I had. So I had like a kind of not very heavy retail background. I liked it. I always had fun with it when I was younger. I like being with people in stores and stuff like that. I think it's a fun experience. But I didn't have a very like business oriented or sales oriented or retail oriented upbringing through this. This is like another one of those accidental entrepreneur stories.
hey, that's
Where it was
like
just, I really love this stuff. I've been in Miami my whole entire life. We've never had a Kawaii shop in Miami, which is crazy. And so it was just like, that's how it all kind of steamrolled into each other. It was just one bounce to another, and then here we go.
so it was your hobby. It was something that you loved and had a love for, and saw other people and saw the opportunity, like saw other people. So again, the accidental entrepreneur, by the way, is probably what describes 98% of my listeners, I think, and my clients for sure. Passionate about something that's really cool or fun or exciting, and then let's just do this thing without, so there's no retail degree behind, behind your I will laugh. I have to share this. When you first contacted me, and I think 21, I want to say
Mhm.
21, 22, maybe. You said, I'm really successful despite my lack of knowledge. I think that was like, you're like, things are going really good, but I feel like I need to learn some things. So like what, I think it was
Yeah,
all being
like
thrown.
things were doing really well, and I didn't understand how or why.
Right. Well, and to be honest, the mechanics of business, I mean, you were really popular. And again, we'll pull through some of that. The mechanics of business, and then there's also the mindset around it too, right? And I know that there's, we all deal with both of those from my experience. Um, all the time, right? It's like this nonstop, we got to do the things. Here's the things, but also I got to think about the things and how I feel about the things, and I got to learn the things. And anyway, so we do a lot of that, right? So
Yeah.
so one of the things I invited you on here today. Madeline's in the mastermind group, and we had the opportunity to meet at our retreat in Florida, and we had so much fun. And pool, I want to say pool time. Like we had a lot of business time, but then there was all this like pool time and all this conversation happening, in between all the things. And one of the conversations, well, many of the conversations we had was about your community and how you build your community and how you attract new customers. And I would love for you to share just some ideas because your marketing is so fresh. I want to say fresh and who you attract. Can you share some of your marketing strategy? And I know we're working through a marketing strategy right now together in our mastermind group. But you have this fresh take, and I would love for you to share a few tips along that.
Sure. So I think for me, one of the things that kind of came naturally was because this was coming out of like a love for a very specific niche that didn't have a gathering point here in Miami. It was kind of easy for us to set up as that spot, like as that gathering point for everybody who had that shared interest, right? And then I kind of view it as I'm really communicating with my fellow nerds, like my fellow
Oh,
geeky
yeah.
people who love what I love. And so I really just drop the business hat when I get into marketing. I really do try and talk to these people like they're my friends because they are my friends. Like
Yeah.
we have so much in common. We speak the same language. We like understand the jargon. We get the lingo. So I went through a time where I was like very stiff and trying to like be like more professional with my marketing, and it just wasn't. It wasn't fun, and it wasn't connecting. And once I really dropped that and like shifted more into like these are my friends, like I want to hang out with my friends, I want to talk with my friends, I want to show my friends like all the stuff that gets me excited because I know they're going to get excited too. That's when things really started to shift for us. Like our Instagram really started to grow when we started to do more casual, more personal, just more like just letting my geek flag fly, that's when things really started to kind of grow for us. And I think that's the big one is just remembering that you have this business because you love this thing, most likely, and your customers also really love it too. And so it's really fun to just lean into that some more and be as much that lover of things as possible. It's contagious. Excitement is contagious. Passion is contagious. And I think that's what we constantly try and inject into our marketing is like the passion, the enthusiasm. It's just us. So like, hello, come hang out.
Right. And you do such a good job at that and speaking the lingo of your people. And I think it's such a good reminder. And more strategically, just about that, some of the ways that I have seen you gather with your people, whether it's online or in person, is you've created events. So you are in a dead mall. You are in a very quiet location. So if you build it, they won't always come unless you invite them, but they are coming.
Yep.
But you are inviting them. You have been using other locations near your shop to host events. Can you talk or speak a little bit to, is it the gathering? Is that, and again, during COVID was a little bit harder. I know that, you were able to do it, but you've had some great success with those types of events. Can you just share a little bit on how you approach that?
So the event wasn't something that was built into the business model in the beginning.
Mm.
It came out very organically because we noticed that our customers would come in the store and like, sure, they'd shop, but they'd inevitably hang out.
Yeah.
And they wanted to talk about like their favorite new anime that just came out or like something else that was going to be happening soon or whatever. And so we started to like kind of come up with ways for people to just kind of hang out and meet. And so our first event was actually a movie night, a Sailor Moon movie night, and we just like hung out and we watched a movie on the TV together, and it was so much fun. And that's what really like made us realize, oh, okay, like our customers actually do like each other. They're really nice and they want to hang out and meet each other and like make friendships and connections. So we started to do more events. And the big one that we did last year that was really successful was CutieCon. And that was inspired by, the fact that I started Colorful Cute at conventions. Pretty much my first ever booth was at SuperCon, which is like this big pop culture anime convention here in Miami. And we wanted to do like a little mini convention celebrating the store's anniversary and celebrating all things kawaii and cute. And it was great. We had over 500 people come through that weekend. It was a ticketed event, and it was so well received. Like, everybody kept telling us, like, you've got to do this again. We want more of this. This is so good. We have so much fun. And of course they were shopping and everything. And so it was like, it was a great indicator that this is it. This is what they're looking for. They're looking for their community spots. Miami is a big city, but it's weird with community, and it is not easy to find community spots and community gatherings in Miami, which is strange. You would think that that'd be happening all of the time in a big city, but it doesn't. And I feel like in many ways, a lot of our friends that have stores in these small towns, they have that advantage because there is this like ingrained community loyalty kind of thing that we don't have here. And so it's been interesting to see that, like, wait, no, people here do want to hang out. They just don't have anywhere to go or anything to like get over together with. And so becoming that place for them has been awesome. This year we've been doing a lot more of they're called trading nights, and like people buy these little blind boxes and they're little secret surprise toys, and then you collect and you trade with your friends, and they're loving it. And it's just so cool to see the community gets stronger. The community grows because inevitably they'll bring a friend and the friend gets introduced, and like it's just so, and it becomes also more supportive of the shop. They just want to like see you succeed so that you can do more fun stuff for them.
Well,
So it's been awesome.
right. Yeah, it's been fun watching you grow your community and seeing them stay so loyal. And that's our goal. And growing new awareness. That's where we go from new awareness, as we talk about a lot, to those avid fans who just keep coming back. And your events, what you've been doing, it's been fun to watch those be so successful. I mean, you're like, we're just gonna try it, right? And I mean, that's what marketing is. We're gonna try, we're gonna see if they like this thing, and they did, and then they keep coming. So you also have an online component. I just wanted to mention that. So there's products and there's no services, though. You don't do services for your people, right? You have products in your shop, and a vast price point. You have a lot of different price points in your shop, just so everybody understands what it is you do. You also have an online component that you're growing. So there are two different marketing. We always talk about the marketing strategy around both of those things because it's important. So it's really fun watching you do the community social. Your team is very social. Your team is very active, and we'll talk about that. Your team is really on board with your mission. They know the mission. They know they're all involved in the culture, and they understand. We didn't just hire anybody off the street.
No, yeah.
Very, very knowledgeable staff. So I think that's really great. Can you share a little bit of your Instagram strategy, which I find really fun and interesting, how you're growing new customers through your Instagram strategy, or getting ones who are lurking, as we call them,
Yeah.
involved and entwined into your brand?
So one of my favorite things that I like about Instagram is I like hashtags. That's one of my big ones. Not so much like, yes, I like to use them in my content to reach new people, but what I really use hashtags for is to find new people. To me, hashtags are the equivalent of, like, that marketing question, where are your people hanging out? Where do they go
Right.
on the weekends? Okay, well, hashtags are like the same thing. Where on Instagram are your people hanging out? What hashtags are they hanging out in? And I love to look for hashtags, and then I go into those posts. They've made it a little harder now because like they took out the recent tab, which
Saw
was my
that. Yeah, I've noticed it.
like it's mixed bag. Some of them have top and recent. Most of them are just top content.
Mm-hmm.
But I would go in there and I'd find people who were posting stuff that's like in our world because of the hashtags. And I would comment on their stuff. And sometimes I would share it too. So like maybe they have a really cute picture of their collection of like Sunny Angels, right? The little babies that everyone's going nuts for right now. Well, if they have a really cute collection picture, I'm going to comment how adorable it is, and I'm going to share it with my viewers. Like, my followers get excited because they see somebody's really cute collection. The person who shared the content really becomes aware of us because now I've brought them into my community. And it just kind of creates this like really fun little win-win for both of us. And we end up growing that kind of relationship. You do that enough, and eventually like you get that momentum going and you start to grow pretty quickly. So that was my big, like, that was my favorite trick with Instagram whenever I was like, I need new friends. Like, go into those hashtags and I'd find them.
Right. And I think it's good to point out. I mean, we talk about, all these tools and strategy or tactics, I guess, but the strategy was, how do I get new people? I mean, that was the strategy. And then you chose to use that tool, and it doesn't have to take hours. It can be 10 minutes a day. So,
That's all I did. I would put the
yeah.
timer on for 20 minutes and
Yeah.
just go.
Yeah, you
And that
taught
was
me
it.
that. I use it now. And I know some of our other mastermind members are all using it. They're like, "Oh, that's so smart." So I've seen people, and just for, people listening, just searching your hashtag of your city, like searching, like, in your case, you have specific ones, but even just, what are people talking about in Miami right now, or, or wherever right now. And, smaller towns, that works really well as well, too, if you're trying to get local foot traffic. So I love that tip. So you taught us that by the pool one day. So, and,
Yes.
I know a lot of us were, kind of like, oh, that's such a simple strategy. And so I thought it was kind of fun, such a simple way of growing, and again, an attract strategy of finding your people. We talk a lot, and you and I talk a lot, and here on the podcast, we talk a lot about being the CEO and understanding all our roles. And there's so many things we have. I mean, for the goodness sakes, right? I feel like I could do a podcast for 1,000 years, because there's so many, so many parts of that we have to run, so many balls we have to juggle. So I like to share, when I have retailers on, the real life story, the real life, oh, it's all sunshine and roses, which is not ever the case. I've yet to meet anybody who's on this journey and hasn't had bumps along the way. So your road to being a successful shop owner has had, like everybody, we've had bumps and whatever. Can you share any lessons learned along the way, or things that you have learned that have taken you on a bump, or some highs? And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's all been perfect, but I think there's been bumps
No,
too.
no, no. There's always bumps. There's always
Right.
bumps. Um, I think that right there was like a big one for me. And I know this is, a lot of people hate hearing this kind of stuff and they roll your eyes. But for
Yeah.
me, the biggest thing has been the mindset and the importance of my mindset and like how I look at things. I used to be so frustrated when there was bumps. Like, why
Right.
is this happening? Like, why can't I get this? And then it was acknowledging, like, wait a minute, this is just what having a business is. Like, there is bumps. It's fine. Like, it doesn't mean like your business is going, it doesn't mean that you're a bad CEO. I would do that a lot. I used to tear myself apart because I didn't have that background, in business. And I very much felt like I didn't know what I was doing, and the imposter syndrome. So working on like how you look at yourself and like how you look at what is going on in your business and not taking your business personally. That has been like, I think, the big one for me. And I've been impressed on how much personal work becoming this business owner like has really encouraged in me and like has developed in me, whether I wanted it to or not. It was like, oh, you're growing, we're gonna
Yeah.
grow so much.
Yeah. Whether
So
you want to or not, you're going to learn to become solution orientated. It's like, yeah. Yeah, it's not
exactly.
smooth sailing. I know, we've had discussions about, is there anything in particular? I guess I don't want to put words in your mouth, but, are
Well,
there any parts of so I too believe that, um, growing we're always personal development. Like, it's always personal development. We are not our businesses, which I think we think we are. I think we all think we are. Sometimes I have to, like, physically, like not physically, but like mentally, I guess, take, picture myself. Okay, I'm not just an employee in this machine that I've built. I'm the visionary, and as such, I can, I'm a separate person, and I can look at it as with a CEO hat on, which you sport very well, by the way. I joke, I gave
thank you.
everybody CEO hats, and Madeline wore hers quite regularly. It was so cute. But
Yes,
there's
I love my
always
hat.
that's our job. That's not who we are. So again, as I mentioned earlier, the mechanics of running a business, there's all these things, and like you said, I don't know why we think we're supposed to know them all, and that once we know them all, they'll all be there, because they're always changing. I
They
mean,
always change. I mean, even like, I had been running a little business. It was a small side business, but I had Colorful
right,
Cute for for 3 years already before I even opened the brick and mortar. And so I thought I knew how to purchase. Sure. No, I don't. Because I knew how to purchase for like a small little side hustle, but it turns out purchasing for like a full-fledged brick and mortar that's actually got tons of, constant flow,
Right.
that was a whole other monster for me. And I'm still struggling with that one. Like you know that's my thorn in my side is purchasing. And then just like different things, learning how to be a CEO, learning how like to step that you have to take yourself out of your business and like come up with plans and think things through and put your strategies and priorities in place. Like all of that kind of stuff wasn't really as needed when it was small. It was just me and it was a side hustle. I wasn't surviving off of it. But once it became my thing, and this is like how I'm paying my bills, and now I've got to pay for other people too, like it just became this whole other machine. And learning how to do so much of it just was out of my reach. That's why I ended up with you, because I was like, okay, I could sit here and like literally, I think a friend of mine gave me like a retail book textbook from one of her business classes. And I was like, no. I need a person. I need a person who's going to come teach me, like, why am I going to have to go through this and like try and spin my wheels and try and reinvent things when there's somebody who's already been through this and knows. And like that's why I think it's so important to seek out like education and coaching when you're in business and when you find yourself, because that's what happens. I think for me it was, you do the thing and then you hit like a wall or like a plateau, and you got to get past that plateau, and that plateau usually requires changes in your mindset and your personal development and new knowledge, new skills. And so it's like really hard to get that new knowledge and those new skills when you've got a crappy mindset that's like, no, I'm never going to learn this, or I can't do this, or this is out of my reach, or it's too much for me. But that's where getting good coaching or good programs comes into play too, because they help you out of that.
Right. Well, and I'm an advocate for coaching, not just because I'm a coach and because I love coaching, but we're always learning. Our skill set's always hitting walls, right? And things change. So that book probably had some great foundations, and even, what we talk about and what we teach, like numbers don't change, right? Metrics and understanding math doesn't change, and business foundations and all that boring stuff that we don't like talking about, but we got to do because that's what we are, the CEOs. Darn
Yeah.
it. But but those things don't change, but the hows and the strategies and what's working now, and what customers mindset, like we have to be like everything, right? And I do believe, and I know that you believe this too, that we have to advocate for our own business. I don't think we have to do it all, but we have to be the leader. So you're a great boss. I mean, I see you build your team. I see you have such great strengths in that. And you mentioned your inventory, and like let's talk about that, or let's, that's not a fault. And I know I hear you, and I'm saying this for everybody listening because I think this is something we all beat ourselves up about at some point in time, whatever it is, whether it's inventory or a bad hire or, whatever it is in our business, we're not like, we're these imperfect humans. And so you were buying for smaller things and you were buying for a busier, and then you overbought. So, Madeline overbought. She had this inventory glut. And every retailer listening has done that at some point in time. I would imagine most people have done that. I've done it. Everybody's done it. And it's like you feel like, what was I thinking? And then ignoring it. And I mean, I know that, I'm not putting words in your mouth again, but like we've all, like this is from my experience, and then it's like, what am I going to do? And then I don't want to dump it. And everybody's had bad buys or overbuys, or things change. Like your customers were all into this cool thing, and then all of a sudden this new cool thing came out, and you're like, I got all this other cool stuff over here. Like, hey guys,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
I think it's really important to reiterate what you said. It's not, we're not bad people or bad bosses or bad CEOs because we made a bad buy. Like that doesn't make or break our business. We
Right.
do have to rectify it. We have to, and I'm watching you pump out that, you're getting that out of here. You're, Madeline, so what do I do about it? I'm like, we move that out. Like, we turn it to cash. Let's get it out. Let's turn it over, make some cash so you can buy some fresh things. And it's not an uncommon mistake. I mean, a lot of us, and it's not a mistake. It's just, it happened, right? So
Yeah, like it's for me, it was part of my learning curve. Like
Right.
I'm not going to know what overbuying is until I actually
Yes.
overbuy. And now I'm like, oh, that's what
But
that is. That's
now we
reasonable.
know. Now we know what we're doing here. So yeah, it's so
Cool.
funny because it's been an ongoing for a little while now. You're trying to move this stuff out. So
Yeah.
here's the fun part, and here's where I think independent shop owners like yourself who are smart and savvy and who care about their clients, who speak their lingo and who understand their needs. We can still mess up products or whatever, but the fun part has been, and maybe not so much for you, but maybe it is, the fun part for me, or as your coach, has been watching you get super creative in how you're going to get rid of this product. So being creative, like constraint causes creativity. We say that all the time. We have to get creative,
100%.
and that's our benefit, our bonus. I think, and maybe it's a curse and a blessing at the same time because we have so much money tied up into it, and it's our money. It's real cash for us. And I always say some of these big box stores, it's just numbers on a spreadsheet, but for us, it's money in our bank, right? It's like we
Exactly.
paid for all this stuff, we got to move it out. It's still numbers on a spreadsheet, but it still has to be moved out. So it's been fun watching you come up with mystery boxes and grab bags and twofers and bag stuff, all the things you've been doing.
We've done everything.
And I know you haven't. I know it probably has been exhausting for you, but you and your team have done an amazing job. And I just want to encourage those, you were maybe a little defeated about all of this at one point, and then
Oh
you
yeah.
came to the community. So Madeline's a member of our Level Up Mastermind, and you're like, I got all this stuff. What do I do? Like, how do we move this out? How do we get creative with it? How do we still serve our clients? And some of it is dumping. I'm sure you're just losing it and getting rid of it, but your customers are loving it. I'm watching what you're doing as you're, flash sales. I mean, we're watching you do all the things still, we're still bringing in new things and we're still doing all the other things, but this extra stuff is actually moving out the door. And it's been interesting and fun watching you. And it's a note to everybody else who makes bad buys that, we can figure it out. We can get rid of it.
Yes,
We
you
can turn
can.
it to
You too.
cash. We can
Yes.
turn it to cash. Yeah. It's that's been, any other places in your business, in your journey. And again, I'll mention you were in a weird location. I mean, I don't mean weird location, but it's not like, high traffic location. And again, a lot of our listeners are probably like, I'm not on Main Street, I'm around the corner, or I'm not in this place. So I've watched you navigate that so greatly, like just basically getting people in and putting signs where you need to. And, I saw you put bubbles outside the door. So you're getting attention.
Bubbles.
You're doing the things, right? You're doing the things and it's working. I mean, your foot traffic is good in the middle of nowhere, and your team, like those two areas. Can you touch a little bit on how you feel about navigating foot traffic, like what you're doing in your marketing, like that, stepping into that role again, and how you feel about being a boss? Because that's another thing that comes with hanging out with your peeps is different than being the boss, right? So on that
Yeah,
part of the CEO
100.
journey.
Yeah, that well, so the first part, I guess, getting people in the door, that became like a really big focus for us this year.
Mhm.
Last year, we didn't really have to focus on it. It was just happening. And it was one of those things where we got very lucky. Anime was, and Japanese pop culture in general was very trendy in 2021, especially in 2022. People were still locked up from the pandemic, and so we benefited a lot from that. But this year that's shifted, and a lot of people are traveling and they're putting their money with experiences, and they're not doing it as much. We don't see as much of the shopping as we used to. So I've had to get creative. And of course, it's like creative and like, how do you do this cheap, right? Because we don't
Right.
have those big budgets.
What we do, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's been kind of fun, like brainstorming different ways to catch people. And you know, when in doubt, I just ask my people. Like, yes, I try and brainstorm, and yes, I try and come up with our own ideas, but really, like, I just ask my customers in Instagram stories or polls, like, what do you guys want? And they tell us. And then we just do that. And most of the time it works out pretty well. So we have fun with it. We did, like, the bubble machine was a big one. I just thought it'd be really cute to have something out front that would show that there's something in the mall. Because when you're walking by, it looks like the mall's completely closed up and like empty. So that's where the idea for bubbles came in. And then we came up with the idea of putting up a sign, and the mall has like these empty directories, and there's one outside the movie theater. The movie theater is a very popular place. It's like the only popular place in that mall. And Barbie weekend was like that was those were my customers. So, those kinds of things, just like really remembering like who are my customers, where are they, what are they doing, how can I find more like them? That that's been really fun to explore this year. And it's like, yeah, it's exhausting. We started tracking foot traffic. We hadn't been tracking foot traffic. Now we do. We do the little clicker, manual. I thought it was going to be a big pain in the butt, but everybody just picked up the habit, and now it's just a habit that we have in the store, and it's easy. And it's been helpful for us to see like the numbers and like, wow, like this day was really busy, and you can see that, and you can strategize with that now that you have those baselines. So that's been fun. Being the boss is hard for me.
No, yeah, it's hard for
being
everybody.
being boss is hard. Because it is fun, and like you do want to just hang out. Again, this year was like my wake up call. And one of the things that I realized was like, okay, payroll is my biggest expense.
Mhm.
That's my number one. And since it's my biggest, how can I make sure that I'm actually getting my money's worth? Right. And that's where like systems and processes and regular meetings. I wasn't doing regular meetings. I was not a fan of regular meetings. I thought they were kind of a waste of time and not super important. I take it all back. I'm so sorry. Please have meetings. Like, please have regular meetings. It's so important. Doing that kind of stuff like it's challenging, but it's been amazing. And like seeing the differences, and like seeing my team come alive more, like as they get more involved into things, getting great ideas from my team because we're like meeting together regularly, and we're on the same page, and we're discussing and communicating things and creating processes together and revising processes and updating those things together. So it's been challenging, but I find that part fun now. Like I'm getting way more into that, and really like it's almost like, how can you get your team like little cogs in a machine, and how do you get them to all work together better, or more efficiently or more effectively, like whatever you want to do. How can you get them to be nicer or cuter or sweeter or funnier, whatever. That's been like fun. Like it was a struggle for me, but now I'm kind of enjoying it more. And like, because I see the progress, I see the changes, I see my team like stepping up more and like coming up with great ideas, and like their enthusiasm is up there. And it's been neat, like seeing their growth too. And that happens when you step into that boss role, really, and like focus on making everybody win and everybody shine as best as they can, like really leaning into, okay, Jazzy's really good with people, like she's awesome, we got to get her in front of the camera more, and we got to make sure she's customer facing all the time. And Casey's an amazing artist, like we got to leverage her marketing background and her art skills, and like really lean into that and make her shine there. And like, so like learning that, and like that helps me be a better delegator, and it helps them like feel like they're part of it. I've been, my staff, I'm very lucky, and I think it's luck in both. I do care about my staff a lot. I hired Jazzy was my first employee. She's still with me. It's been 2.5 years. She's still with me. Casey was my second employee. It's been 2 years. She's still with me. Melanie's been with me a year. I don't have to deal with turnover. I've been very lucky. Like my girls really love it, and we are very family oriented in that way, and we take care of each other, and it's been a good community that we have ourselves. So I think that's been a really fun thing. I was resistant to it, but the more I've leaned into it and embraced it, it's actually gotten a lot better, and it's a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be.
Right. So again, that's just, you're stepping into your leadership role. And personally, I'm very proud. I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud. Like, yeah, I do get a lot of resistance and, count your foot traffic. Ugh, nobody was like, or, there's a reason, there's a method to my madness or whatever, when I'm sharing things, but you're flexing those, it's not fun at first, whatever it is, whether it's learning your metrics, learning the math. And I've watched you again, I have to shout out, like, I have watched you flex the math muscles or whatever too, right? Figuring out how many people do we need into the shop this week, and what in order for us to continue to do the things, it's not about top line, and we all know that. It's the whole thing. And I've just really been proud of you to watch. And then I get these like screenshots of like your math, like I did my homework and I figured it out, and it's all these rough, sometimes it's rough sketches, so it's okay, it's good, that's how we roll, right? But the leadership role with your team, and I know you've been, I hate saying it's luck. I don't like saying it's luck when when you get a smooth running team. It's you knew the lingo, you knew who you were looking for, so you hired smart. That was the skill you had. But like any muscle, like anything that we're doing, like going to the gym or driving a car, you're getting better and better, and you're finding those muscles. And stepping into the leadership role is different than the friendship role. We want to be friends with our staff, but we still also want to be a leader. So I'm laughing my butt off over here, you telling me that you're enjoying your staff meetings, because like, you need team meetings. No, not doing that. That's too corporate, it's whatever, right? So it's fun watching it. We do need, but when we have staff that care about, when we care about our staff, let me reverse that. When we care about our staff and we care about our business, and they see that, and we care about our customers, that trifecta, the staff are going to do that as well, right? They're going to start caring about you. They're going to care about the business, and they're going to care about the customers. And when that happens, that's when all those cogs start, and they're all moving, it's working, right? Like, it's when it's working really well, it's because you're greasing all of them. We're making sure we're taking care of every individual one, but we're also making sure that everybody's on board with the mission. And I think stepping into leadership it's been a joy watching you step into your leadership. I mean, with your math and your numbers and your, your marketing and your, all of the things. We juggle all these balls, don't we, Madeline? Like, we juggle all these balls, and for some reason, I think we think we're supposed to be proficient at them right away, right? So it's been fun. Resilience is another thing too, right? We have to keep getting back up. And thank you for the shout out about, about coaching. And I see you dip in, we all have high days, like when they're just rocking, like, it's like a great event. And then we have days when I think everything sucks and I don't like this job, and somebody walked me off this cliff. And so I also want to shout out to you, because you will share that. You'll be like, I'm having a cliff walking day. Like, it's so I think that being able to lean into the group builds resilience. I think we're not meant to do this alone. So I love having you in our mastermind group. And again, right now we're going through a 6-week sales strategy. I don't know. I hate calling it a boot camp, but I feel like that's what we're doing, right? We're doing 6 weeks in a row of really nailing our sales. And again, it's been fun watching you, even though, you're busy. We're all busy doing other things. Dedicate it to, how are we growing our strategy? How are we doing? How are we increasing our in-store sales? How are we increasing our foot traffic? We're clicking, we're counting, we're clicking, we're clicking, we're counting. And how are we converting? And it's just been fun watching you go through all of that as well with everybody. So thank you. I want to honor your time, and I know our listeners, and I appreciate, we could probably talk forever. Before we sign off, I always like to ask a couple of rapid fire questions. Are you up for it?
Go for it.
You're super game. You're game for anything. So
I am.
Madeline had me game for things when we were in Florida. I tried all kinds of fun new things. Now I'm just going to throw some questions at you. What's a surprise hidden talent? I'm scared to ask this of you, because I feel like there's something fun there.
That's actually a really hard one for me, because I'm like, I don't have anything hidden. I would say I'm just a really good enabler. I'm a good enabler. Like, that's my hidden, an enabler. I'm an enabler. So if you ever need somebody to like talk you into doing something, I'm super good at that.
like standing in a mega long lineup to get cupcakes.
Yep. Delicious cookies.
Delicious cookies and cakes. Yes, which is what we did. Yes, that's true. You did enable me to do that. So
I'm very good at that, and you will have fun, I promise.
Yes, yes. Favorite or current business book?
Favorite current business book. I will tell you Profit First, I think.
Wow.
Okay. That I know, right? Like, I don't think many. I think that book just really made me understand, like, no, girl, this is a business. We are not hobbying this. We are not side hustling this. We are not hope this works out. Like, no, where this is a business, and we're gonna make this a business. And in order to do that, like, money's always been hard for me. I still, personal finance is still a struggle for me. I'll be honest. It's hard. And so Profit First, I think, was like the one thing that really got me to just understand, like, this is serious. This is money. And like, you can make money off of this. You can live off this, but we've got to manage this right. And so that's the one, like, I always recommend to people, like, you start with Profit First, like, start there, and then everything else is lubricates that machine. Your marketing books will help you get the sales that help you with your profit and all of that stuff. But you've got to get, like, the for me, it was the foundation, and it was profit. I always say Profit First. Yeah.
Wow, that's really impressive. I'm very happy to hear that. That's a great answer too. And you're right. It's the first book when I tell new people, like, especially younger people or side hustle going on, I say, I wish Mike Michalowicz had written that book. Like, when we were starting out. We've been in business, John and I, 27 years, and I wish I'd had that book 27 years ago. So that's a great reminder for so many people listening. And this is my side note to that. I find the book really hard to read because it's a math book. Really, like, but the principle, you read it, you get the principle of it, and then get somebody to get a Profits First professional or start watching his YouTubes and all that. It's much easier to figure out. But that's a great answer. Wow, that's really, So where do you get my last question, where do you get courage and gather courage and, get your resilience from when you need it most? Like, how do you summon that up? Where does it come from?
I don't know what it is. I know I'm very good at, I get to the point when I say, okay, F it, we're doing it.
Yep.
I'm a big F it girl. Like, F it. I just take the leap. Like, I'll freak out about it and everything, but eventually, like, I've learned that it's just do it. Just jump, see what happens, and take that leap. But, like, it might hurt, it might not. I don't know. There's only one way to find out, really. And so, like, that constantly, like, I just say okay, well, F it, we're doing it, and we go. And that's basically it. That's what I do. I just try not to think about it and just go.
Overthinking, will turn us, it'll ruin us. So you're right. That's more dangerous.
I think about it, the less likely I am to do it. 100%.
That's fabulous. Anything else to share with us, Madeline, as we sign off?
I don't do this by yourself. I really recommend finding the people, find the coaching, find the group, find classes. Even if you can't afford the big, find something so you're not doing it by yourself, because you really don't have to do it by yourself. Like, it doesn't make you a better business person if you do it by yourself. It doesn't make you more efficient. It doesn't do anything, really. Just don't be afraid to get the help. Don't be afraid to ask for the help, and just move forward that way. I think that's my biggest thing for people, is always don't do it alone. You don't have to, and it's really not fun. And it's a lot more work, I think, in the end, when you try and go solo. So I'm really grateful I found you and our group and our mastermind and everybody, because it's been amazing, like, being able to bounce ideas off each other. You get ideas from somebody else. You see something that worked for somebody else, and like, ooh, how could I tweak that so that it works for my group? And like, it's just so helpful. And like you said, it's also the constant reminder that, like, you're not alone, and your, like, mistakes are okay.
Yeah.
Mistakes are part of it. Like, eventually they tell you that you'll actually learn to love your mistakes. I'm not there yet.
I'm not there either. I am still not buying into that one. I think it's true, but it's like, it's still, but I do know it's normal. And I honestly have not met I've not met a business person, maybe a human who hasn't, but especially in small businesses, who hasn't had some whoopsies, like, mistakes happen. So we have to keep trying, keep getting back up, which your mission, I believe this to be true. You can tell me if I'm full of BS or not, but I feel like your love for what you do and the mission to serve your community that you love, your nerds, as you get to hang out, you get to serve them. Your mission with your team and your leadership and everything is such an example. I feel like you're so driven. Your mission to serve your family. You have how many children do you have?
I have 3 children and a stepdaughter, so there's 4
For
between
them. I
them.
know you have a busy household. Your mission to support your family doing, and you work hard to do that. So it's very admirable watching you just push through the barriers, doing it scared, like you said, just doing it, just saying F it and doing it and keep going forward.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for coming on the podcast today and chatting with my audience.
You're welcome. Yes. Thank
really
you for
cool.
having me. It was so fun.
That's great. We will make sure that we have, where's the best place for people to go hang out? Instagram? Where do you want us to send
Yeah.
it?
So we are Colorful Cute Goods on Instagram. That is our largest, most active social platform. So that's where all the fun happens. And our website, we are open 24/7 online, colorfulcute.com. So if you want to get a good idea of like what we have and sell, and maybe you need some cuteness in your life, you can come check us out there and see what we have. And of course, if you're in Miami or South Florida, come visit us. We are in Sunset Place in South Miami. And you can come hang out with us, and we'll give you some great ideas on what to do in the dead mall area.
So I need to share, it's not completely dead. It surprised me when you kept talking about that. It's not completely dead, but it's very slow.
We're getting a spirit Halloween, so
There you go. Does that tell you anything?
That tells you.
Thank you so much, Madeline. We'll talk soon. We'll make sure we share all of those links in our show notes so that people can go follow you. I think what you're doing is amazing. So keep it up, cutie.
Same to you, Wendy. Thank you.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Creative Shop Talk podcast. I'm so glad that you were here to join us this week, and I hope you found value in what we're sharing here. I want to remind you that our website has all of the show notes. You can find it at wendybatten.com/podcast. Everything that you need to hear about today's podcast is there. Also an opportunity if you need to reach out to me. If I can support you in any way whatsoever, please feel free to reach out. So thanks for joining us. Please leave a review, subscribe if you can, and never miss an episode. We hope to see you back here again next week. Thanks, my friend. Have a great week.